Hi everyone, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Spaztic Nomadics, and welcome to our house. As you come on in, you're going to enter our dining room / living room. We got these seats out of a passenger van that basically it was a warehouse full of these brand new seats because they take them out for prisoner transport for plastic seats. So we got these brand new off of eBay. Something that was really important to us was having seat belts. We have a little one that's in a car seat, so we need to keep her safe and contained while we're riding. Under the couch here, we have tons of storage, basically the entire thing, except for, you see, we have our heating and air that comes out of there. So it's not quite as deep, but plenty of storage. As you come into the kitchen, we went with open shelving and full-size appliances this time. We did an international school bus the first time, and we were really missing full-size appliances. We love to cook. Our family centers around food, basically, so it was really important for us to go full-size. Our countertops are butcher block and epoxy. So on this side, he painted the butcher block white, and then white and glitter epoxy two times, and then the last one was just glitter and epoxy to make that glitter pop. So over here we have, it looks like freshly laid snow is what we say, but only better because then it's not super cold. Over here he did a Kona wood stain on the butcher block and then epoxy over the top as well. My husband loves Hawaii, so that Kona tree is dear to his heart. We went with a walk-in pantry. I should say I am someone who is out of sight, out of mind, so I like to be able to see what I have, and so we always know our inventory. And we also thought it would be funny to have a walk-in pantry in a bus. Over here at the sink we have drinking water and regular water that you would normally find at any gas station, but our drinking water is out of the 5-gallon drums that you would normally buy at Home Depot or Walmart, so it pumps up to our sink as well as our freezer, because we have the ice maker just like a regular home in the freezer. So we don't ever have to worry about what we're drinking for our ice and our water. We are still in the kitchen, but at a different angle. We wanted to show you that we decided to use one of our bins. We have lots of storage underneath the bus. So we have one of the bins down here as a toy room / extra bedroom. And then as you see, we have this space in here that was a little bit extra. So that's actually all of our spices up in there, which we have lots of them because we love to cook.
I know where you're coming from on that one. 2 doors.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move this fan out of the way so it's not so gaudy.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I love medieval stuff, so this was another surprise for me that he did. The spice cabinet and then this whole area was surprises for me.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yes, for sure. Okay.
Oh, and the sunken tub too.
Do you want me to go in the tub, maybe? Yeah. Okay.
So what drew us to living in a bus?
What didn't? But
what didn't, for sure. I guess I grew up through my teenage and early adult life really trying to do a lot more than I needed to. Building businesses and being ambitious financially, and it took me a while into our relationship to realize that for me, was more interested in an interesting life more so than dollars and cents in a bank account. The money and income and all of that was a way to live an interesting life, but you can do it without trading off so much of your days to pay
Right.
for unnecessarily expensive things.
Right.
So
yeah, he's still getting used to actually getting to spend time with us.
indeed. So simpler, I guess, a simpler life and interesting nonetheless.
Right. Yep. And we were moving quite often. So for me, it felt like if our house could move, then we can just stay in our house and we can just keep moving, packing up and an entire house. And
for sure.
Having showings to sell it, that's never fun. So
Sure.
Obviously we are now in our bathroom. We decided to lower the tub My husband is 6'4", and we didn't want to have to worry about him having the shower head basically at his chest. We left the window here so that when we are taking a bath, we can open it up and enjoy wherever we're parked, which is really, really nice. And we also made sure to do lots of bathroom storage this time. The first bus, we were kind of pouring out of the bathroom. We all had so much stuff. So there can be 7 of us in here sometimes. So it gets to be a lot of people's, you know, belongings, and we like to keep clean, I guess. We went with a regular RV toilet this time. I was not much of a fan of the compost toilet. So we just went with a regular black tank and flush. It was also easier for potty training our little one. It was difficult for her to get things where they're supposed to go in a compost toilet. We are still technically in the bathroom, but we're in the hallway. We decided to put our bathroom sink out here so that someone can be getting ready while someone else is doing their business inside. And then we also made sure that if someone is standing here, that there's plenty of room behind you to be able to keep things going. The sink, this whole area was actually a surprise for me. My husband knows that I love all things medieval and dragons and all of that stuff. So he actually looked up the arch to be able, you know, to do it right and all that stuff. And I don't know, he's the best.
Started with a school bus originally. Our first bus was a 2005 International. We built that. I was still working on other projects, so it was kind of, that bus build felt more exhausting than this one because it was working during the day and then coming home and trying to find time to do it at night. We enjoyed it, and it was a lot of the things that we wanted it to be, but there was a lot of other things that we still kind of wanted for, you know, in modern conveniences.
Space, a little bit more space, storage.
I always tell the story that, you know, we felt like we were having to get rid of extra pairs of underwear, and some friends that had coach buses, you know, they've got cotton candy makers and teepees and all. They're like pulling out half of a circus from under their bus. So we developed some serious storage envy, and Ashley wanted to do a coach all along. It was a little bit ambitious for my.
I wasn't the one doing it, so I just put my requests in.
She got her inevitable wish, and we decided to do a coach, give us a little bit more space, and so here we are.
And honestly, it's like the ride is so much different, you know. In the bus, it was, you know, boom, 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 and the coach, as people say, it's more like a magic carpet ride. For
sure. This bus was made to drive. This, you know, was made to get on the highway and, you know, do interstate travel.
She loves keeping up with traffic.
For sure.
Where in the school bus, we were worried about getting rear-ended all the time.
Struggle.
You know. Here in the laundry room / bunk room. We went with full-size appliances this time. Again, the first bus, we did not have any washer or dryer at all. So I was spending a lot of my days at the laundromat, taking my daughter to lunch just to kill time, and it was actually getting kind of expensive. So we wanted to make sure that we were covered. The solar takes care of everything, and the water situation, basically we don't have to worry about water, and I'll let Chris tell you all about how we get our water without having to move the bus. So that's more of an outside thing though. And then we went with 2 bunks up above, so there's one on this side and one on this side, and right now this is kind of a mess because we don't have all of our kiddos with us, and it's been a crazy week here at Schoolie Swarm. But sometimes it's a little bit storage.
The initial cost was, you know, was more. The school bus was considerably less as an initial purchase price.
Right.
But again, I guess the old adage, you know, you get what you pay for. You know, we started with a little bit more of a front end investment to, you know, to get a bus that was really in the window of what we wanted. We wanted to make sure everything was pre-emissions and pre-DEF and pre all of the complicated stuff, but new enough where there was actually, like, you know, some,
you don't have to worry about finding parts.
Right, currentness to it as well. So, so we landed this. This bus has a Series 60 Detroit and a Allison 500 transmission, which are extremely common power plant. So we figured that it would be easier to maintain and, you know, get parts for and things like that.
Welcome to our bedroom. We have a queen size mattress in here and plenty of hanging on each side this time. We have cubbies because you always have your phone or a cup of water or whatever that you need to go to bed with. Down underneath, we each have 4 drawers on each side. So he's got 4 and I've got 4. And so basically the whole middle is storage that we can put things that we don't use on the regular. And then we also have one of our doggies that she likes to hibernate, and it's her little safe space down under there too. I love books, so we always have to have a bookshelf in the bedroom. And yeah, oh, so down here we have a fan. If I pull that piece of wood out, there's a little switch down here, and basically it's a big giant fan that's normally for drying floors commercially. So basically, if it all works out with the breeze, we can pull air through the bus. So as long as we've got airflow, you're good. And over here, we decided not to delete this, was the handicapped door, and we get a giant breeze through this. We love it so much. And you can stargaze if you'd like as well. It's just beautiful. And so I'm sorry if you hear the generator right now. We're parked by a bunch of neighbors. But yep, this is really nice because, again, having that airflow, we don't have our air conditioning hooked up yet. So we were running from the cold. So first things first, we have heat. Still in our bedroom is also our desk. We wanted to make sure that we had a little place that we could sit and work. We still actually end up printing quite a few things being on the road. But yeah, a couple of drawers down here. Yeah, basic desk. It also doubles, I guess I should say, when we have all of the kiddos, we'll clean the desk off, and this will be a nice little spot for Eva to curl up. So it's a kind of a toddler bed.
The coach, I think, for me was easier for all of the utilities. There's just more space. You know, most of the underside of the bus is accessible through the bins. So as far as running plumbing and having tanks and things like that, it's just there's just more accessibility down there for utilities. It gave us more freedom to do what we wanted. There was room for water tanks. There's, you know, all of those things were able to go downstairs.
I think you were saying too that actually getting the seats out physically was easier as well.
For sure, yeah. The coach bus, they seem to use a lot more stainless steels and aluminums and things like that. In the school bus, it's you know, a lot of mild steel and a lot of rust and a lot of, you know, corrosion from 18 or 20 years of use.
So you're fighting to get those out.
For sure. We have the driver's area up front. It's a little dusty where we're staying. There's a lot of dust, and it's been pretty dry and haven't had a lot of rain lately. But again, pretty typical for a bus. Getting to know some of the switches and the indications, I was able to find a technical manual for the operation of the bus. So a lot of the switches just have crazy pictures on them or a bunch of acronyms that are hard to determine what it's for. So it took me a while to get the hang of all of those. But beyond that, like I said, it drives pretty well, pretty smoothly. It's just a matter of kind of getting used to that turning radius. All right. So we've got several bins down both sides. We kind of allocated space based on what side of the bus it was and where it best laid out from upstairs. The first bin going all the way through is just wide open storage. We just left this one for any old thing that we may grab, we may need. There's a water tank that fits into this space to give us extra water carrying ability. It's not in there obviously right now, but that would be the only thing that would, you know, live in this space that, you know, that would be considered a utility or anything like that. Otherwise, as you can see, it's all just a bunch of random things. This is the downdraft fan for the kitchen area. So rather than putting an overhead hood in and doing a penetration through the roof, in the cabinet next to the stove, we have a little vent that just drafts air down and blows it out the bottom of the bus, just to kind of pull some of the cooking odors and humidity and things like that out of the air. The big silver thing behind it is actually the last portion of the air conditioning unit. So that's what I have yet to install. That'll actually get flipped up onto the ceiling area and connected into the ductwork that's up there. I, however, like I said, haven't finished that one last bit. The next bin back is a playroom bin. As you can see, we've still got a little bit of finishing work to do in here. I've got a ladder to build to come down into it. We've got a couple of play carpets and things like that at home that we've got to get put in there, but I just finished this up a couple of days ago, and like I said, we're just finishing out, rounding out the bus, and so that's one of the last things that needs to get taken care of. I don't know that I
the
have
only
anything.
thing that I can think of is I would have gone with a lower wattage microwave.
Oh yeah.
That's about the only thing.
A little smaller of a microwave. It gets a little ambitious with the inverter and needing power, but
so that's easy to pull on out and get a
sure.
new one. So.
That would be about the extent of.
Yeah, maybe some cup holders. I would have put cup holders in.
Cup holders.
Yeah.
Probably have some cup holders. As you can see, is basically just a mounted toolbox. We've got a couple of grade 8 bolts going down through the floor there. So it secures it to the floor. It's not going anywhere. Behind the toolbox, on the right-hand side, is my freshwater tank. It's a 125-gallon poly-ag tank, which I can see along the side of the toolbox. So I can very easily go in and check and see how much fresh water we have remaining in the tank. On the left-hand side of that bay, next to the freshwater tank, is the gray water tank. That's 60 gallons, also a poly-ag tank. And again, can see it down the side of the toolbox, so I can see how much water's in there and how much longer we have before we need to dump it.
My kitchen, I would say, the entire kitchen area. I basically live in here, so the countertops, they made me cry when I first saw them. So it's a nice space to be in.
Yeah, for me it's, you know, that big old honking motor back there. You know, I'm the one who drives, so being able to get on the accelerator and, you know, and get up hills and not feel like it's a very stressful thing to me to have semis climbing up your tail end and, you know, cars slicing over in front of you and you know, the school bus, you know, once you get to the top of a decent incline or a decent grade, you know, in some cases on the interstate you're down to 45 miles an hour. So people don't think that's so humorous. So they're not exactly polite.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, just feeling like it just really has the ability to drive. We also carry with us, it probably could use a good pressure washing. We carry with us a bounce house that is just an air inflated bounce house. Eva, the 3-year-old, she likes getting in there, and it usually brings a bunch of the other kids around, so it gives her something to do and people to play with. So just kind of one of the nice things to be able to have that storage space for and take with us. Okay, so last bin up, you can't see a whole lot of it, but back there behind the chop saw, there's the furnace. It's a RV 40,000 BTU forced air furnace, propane powered, and below that is the water heater. You can't pretty much see that at all. That's an on-demand propane water heater. We're actually, we're starting to transition into a half-half scenario probably.
Right.
We're starting to look at some land to do an off-grid kind of self-sustaining home, right. But we would still we have a shuttle bus as well, so one way or the other we would still have a bus and we would still, you know, travel part-time and come to events and do things like that. So I can easily see transitioning into a half-half lifestyle, but there's always going to be probably some component of bus life in anything we do.
Yep.
So the last bay on the passenger side, we have the condensing unit for the air conditioning. I removed a bunch of the panels of the back of the unit, and then we also added a louver into the door, so that way we can get airflow through that space. Again, the air conditioning hasn't quite been finished up, but I'm about a day's work off of having air conditioning, so we're looking forward to that coming up here in spring in Florida. All right, so a little dirty, obviously, with the dust that we've had here, but this is a Detroit Series 60. There used to be a very large air conditioning compressor here that we took out as a part of the renovation of the bus, but the rest of the bus, pretty much motor and transmission, is intact to what it was originally. In front of the Series 60 is an Allison 500 transmission. Then, of course, that runs up to the rear differential and drive axle in the bus. It all depends on the kid, really. You know, I have 2 boys from my first marriage, and Ashley has 2 boys from her first marriage. Right. My 2 are old enough where they're very interested in their stuff, so they don't, I think, give a lot of thought to what it is that we're doing. When we're there, we're there. When we're not, we're not. But
they love the so we get all the boys basically for vacation time. So for them, it's a nice vacation. They know they're going to go somewhere. They're not just going to mom's or dad's house
to play some video games.
We're going to end up traveling, or whatever it is that we're doing. So for them, it's kind of nice because no matter what, vacation time is traveling. For sure. For Eva, I would say she doesn't even bat an eye because she's 3 and it's just what she's used to now at this point. Yeah. And she's so adventurous.
Yeah. If anything, she's always egging us on. That used to be the air conditioning condensing coil. We took all of that out, took it to recycled. We installed in here the battery bank and the propane. This cabinet is extremely well vented. The whole bottom of the cabinet is open, so all of the area below the batteries is open to venting. The whole side of the cabinet is open to venting. So if we were to have any propane leakage or anything like that, it's going to find its way out. We also were able to lower the bathtub, so the bathtub space comes down into the top of this cabinet as well. So this cabinet was really pretty fully utilized by the time it all shook out. Okay, so we went with, there's 16 golf cart batteries. It was a low cost option, but in building the bus and having everything else going on, I didn't feel like I really had the opportunity or the time to research and really understand batteries and how to justify the cost going into, you know, some of the other more expensive options. So this was basically put in as a initial effort. It works fine for us. We'll usually wake up in the morning and we'll see about 84–85% of battery life remaining. So again, like I said, it's functional for us. There's probably a better solution out there, but again, like I said, this got the job done until I can take some time to really drill down and understand batteries, battery banks, and the cost involved with some of the other options. Next up is probably the most looked at portion of the bus. We got a little carried away with some of the solar and some of the electrical in the bus. I'm an electrical guy, so this was kind of my my experiment. Up top, if you can see it, we've got 2 large solar charge controllers. We've got about 4,200 watts of solar on the roof coming into the batteries for the house. There's also a smaller solar controller in the middle that comes down and goes just to the batteries in the bus itself. So all said and told, we're just shy of 5,000 watts of solar on the roof. And again, some of it goes into the house batteries and some of it goes into the bus batteries to keep those topped off. Below that, we have a 24 to 12 volt converter, so that powers all my 12 volt stuff in the bus, which is all of the pumps, lights, things like that. The black unit here is what's known as a DC to DC converter, or a buck boost as Victron calls it. That takes power from the batteries while the motor's running and puts it back into the house batteries as well. So that gives us a secondary ability to charge batteries. On each side we have 2 inverters. That gives us 110 volts between the 2 inverters, and then between the 2 of them, the way that they're programmed, gives us 220 volts for the air conditioning. So I was able to go into a 2-ton air conditioning unit rather than just a 1-ton. Lastly, coming across the bottom, we have all the collection of all of the battery loops on the left. They go through the shunt in the middle, which monitors power in, power out. And then finally on the right hand side, we have all of our distributions, and that's all fused as well. So we have all of our power going out to the inverters, solar charge controllers, the DC to DC, all of those things then derive power or replace power through the distributors. Lastly, we have chargers in the multi-pluses as well, so I can plug into shore power and have those charge the batteries should I need to, or a generator or anything of that sort. So we really have 3 ways to charge the batteries. The solar is definitely our primary source of electricity in the bus. Very rarely do we need any sort of generator or outside power source. Next bay up is just kind of some of the other miscellaneous and random utilities. On the left hand side there, we have 2 5-gallon water drums. That goes up to a small pump, and again, as Ashley probably showed you upstairs, goes to a drinking water fountain at the sink, as well as to the refrigerator to make ice. We've got a hose bib coming off the system, so if I need to wash solar panels or the bus or anything of that sort, you can hook up a hose and walk around and be able to do whatever we might need to do. We've got a bunch of switches for all of our pumps, including the black water pump, drinking water, the main supply water, and then again the pump for the auxiliary tank that sits up in the front compartment. Regular old fuse panel. Below that we've got a fuse block for all the 12 volt devices. And then our servo, which is more or less the brains of the Victron system. It helps everything communicate with one another, so all of the equipment fully communicates with the other pieces of the equipment. Lastly, down below we have all of our valves for running water up to the house, into the supply tank or into the holding tanks, filling and pulling water from the auxiliary tank. All of those things are all handled from the water valves there. Next bin up, we have a couple, again, some other tools. But we also carry a small generator here. Very rarely have to use it, but again, just as a secondary or a third power source should we need it. We can pop that out, plug it into the inverters or shore power, and throw a little bit of charge into the battery should we need to do that.
You can follow Ashley and Chris on Instagram by looking up Spastic Nomadics or in the description below.